Hi everybody, welcome back to my garden. So it is Friday, September 1st, and I just arrived at the garden last night after spending a week in the North Woods of Wisconsin, sitting by the lake. Beautiful week. It was cool. The nights were in the 40s, the days were in the high 60s, low 70s. Just perfect after the heat wave we recently had at home. So back to reality here. The garden, I haven't been up here in 3 weeks, and it looks like it. Tim has been doing some picking, but we also lost some things. Like we lost 3 cantaloupes. They split before we were able to pick them. And yesterday I found out we lost one of my yellow watermelons. So that was split also. There has been a real steep learning curve as to how much water we're supposed to be putting on this garden. You know, you're in a drought year. You don't know if you're doing too much, if you're not doing enough. The one cantaloupe we tried was very watery. So I don't know if it wasn't ripe or if it's been overwatered. I don't know. So a lot of learning curves going on here. I will tell you the garden is a mess. It's really a mess because there's been no one here to pull weeds. And so we're gonna change that next year. Let me show you what's going on here. Here is the garden. This is approximately 3 months after planting, because we planted this on June 10th. Started it earlier than that. Started a lot of these plants early. But yeah, so 3 months of growth. Let's start with the pickling cucumbers. I'm going to be in your light here. They're all kind of looking like this. They're done, basically. We have got, so far, 56 quarts of pickles out of these cucumber plants, which is a lot of pickles. So we're kind of trying to decide if we even need to plant pickles next year. We'll probably get a few more because we've got some of these big ones. We're going to pick these today. We've both been gone for a week, so you know how fast cucumbers grow. So we're going to get, I don't know how many quarts can today. But yeah, these plants are looking pretty sad. It's time. You know, they've been so great this year and just so prolific in producing. Yeah, so I'm really ready to kind of pull these out. I think I'm going to pick all these and then pull out the plants. So that's an update on the pickles. So the tomatoes, we still have a lot of green tomatoes on the plants. I'll get that closer. You can see this one's just starting to get a little color to it. These are Plum Regal. They're a hybrid tomato that I bought from Johnny's. They're just not getting ripe. You know, and we've got some pretty good size. They're not as big as the Amish paste. But I wish they would start ripening. A lot of green tomatoes on there. So kind of keep that in mind. I don't know if that's typical of this plant or not. I'm going to have to plant it again next year and find out if it's typical or not. But the plants are loaded. They're all loaded. So the next is San Marzano. We got a combination of green and red. Here, this branch fell down. It's got a bunch, I don't know if you can see that. Here, let's go this way. A bunch of tomatoes on there. There's a bunch in the plants. So those are finally starting to get ripe. These are San Marzano. These are Amish paste. They have been getting ripe slowly. You know, we've been getting onesie twosies in the garden. I'm getting a lot of blossom end rot on the Amish paste. I don't know what's up with that. It's like, why are these getting blossom end rot this late in the season? I mean, normally tomatoes will give you, like, the first couple will have blossom end rot, and then the rest of them will be fine. So, yeah, they're doing good. The rest of these, I haven't quite figured out what they all are, but we've got some pretty nice tomatoes. We also have some bad spots in here. So once I figure out what these all are, I'm gonna do a taste test on some of them. And you can't see that. Lots of leaves. There we go. In there. I have a feeling from the way the tomatoes are splitting that we might be putting too much water on. Although, I don't know, I used to do 45 minutes of irrigation. I can't get through here. With my drip irrigation on the tomatoes. And they did fine at my house. And here we're doing Rainbird sprinkler. And they're just not, I just don't know how to judge how much water it's getting. So if I were here, it'd be different, but I'm not. Look at this big, huge tomato. I would pick it. This has to be at least a 1 pound tomato. But I have to find the tag because I think animals come in here at night and steal all my tags on my plants. Note for next year, bigger tags. So we still have a lot of green tomatoes. And I'm getting kind of worried because we can get frost here in September. Look at these beauties. Come on, out of the way. Look at that beautiful cluster. I'll have to figure out what those are. So yeah, we're making progress. All right, next peppers. The peppers were consumed by the pumpkins. We still are getting some. They're not really getting, there's a pumpkin. They're not really getting the light they need. They're being crowded. Here's another pumpkin in there. Yeah, I've kind of written off the peppers here for this year. So, my red hot cherries at home are doing really well. These are the ones that were supposed to be rainbow bells. These are very spicy, but they're really flavorful. So I kind of wish I knew what those were. If you know, let me know. Next up, oh, here's a nice big red bell. You're squished in there. I'll have to work on that one. Next up, patty pan squash plant is finally slowing up. We had a lot of patty pans off that one, but finally slowing up. So I may end up pulling this plant. Onions, we didn't get a real good, they didn't take because it was so dry when we planted them, and I wasn't here to babysit them. So we are getting some good sized onions though. I'll put my hand there so you can kind of see how big that is. So we're doing okay there. We'll get some. That's all that matters. And then welcome to squash land. Yeah, so the pumpkins are starting to die back, which is good. Butternuts. I got a ton of butternut squash. Send me all of your butternut squash recipes. I mean, besides butternut squash soup and roasted butternut squash. I mean, I do love to make it with, like, I love roasted vegetables, and I always throw that in there. So I just ordered a bunch of canning and preserving books on Amazon to see what I can do with some of this stuff. What else is in here? There's another butternut here. So still a little bit of green on here. Stem hasn't turned brown yet, so they're not ready to pick. There's a couple pie pumpkins. They're really nice size, really nice size. And then I also have some of my Blue Hubbard ones in pumpkins in here. Where did I see that one? Oh, here, while I'm here. Cabbage. We got one nice head out of all that cabbage. But Tim has a friend who's got a huge garden, said he's going to bring me some cabbage so I can still make some sauerkraut. Here's one of my blue pumpkins. Yeah. You could just kind of look at this and it's overwhelming. So let me walk to the other side over there and we'll go from there. So as I was walking through, I came across this. This is a buttercup squash. So these are green when they're ripe. And the stem is dying, so this is ready to be picked. So I'm gonna run through the garden and see if I can find a bunch of those. I know they're everywhere. And hopefully I can pick a bunch of those and let them sit and cure for a while. What do they say? If you can poke your fingernail in easy, they're not ready. So this is pretty hard. I'm also starting to find, a bunch of delicata. This one isn't nearly ripe, but there are some that are. Spaghetti squash. That one's not as big as the other ones. But I want to start looking around for some of the bigger ones, the earlier ones. What is this? There's a delicata. Doesn't look like your typical delicata. Here too. And I've decided that this is a pumpkin. You guys haven't seen that video I did asking what it was. I haven't been able to find my seeds. I have a feeling they're up here someplace. So, like, I was trying to look something up, what variety I planted. And this might be a pumpkin. It's the only thing I can think of that it is. Okay, so we're over here by the watermelons. Now this is where my Moon and Stars watermelon is. I picked 2 of them. But if you go around look at this beautiful sunflower. Isn't he a beauty? Lots of bees in these flowers. Back around here. Out of the way. So we've got a couple of these nice watermelons here. So this one is probably almost 12 inches long. And then over here, over here is this one. I hope you can hear that. It sounds hollow, but see this tendril? I was always taught that this tendril has to brown. This is where this, you can't see that because there's a leaf in the way. This is the stem here, and the tendril opposite the stem has to be brown. So that one's close. I've showed Tim that little trick and asked him to watch it. Now, I've never, ever, in all the years I've been gardening, and I've been gardening, oh gosh, decades, I've never been able to grow watermelon like this. I think they just need to roam. You know, when you try growing them at home, and they just don't have room to roam at home. Ha. Here's another little one. I don't think that one's gonna make it, but it might just be smaller. So those are the watermelons. Teddy bear sunflowers. Did sunflowers used to follow the sun? Or is it only certain varieties of sunflowers? I don't know, but the sunflowers are looking kind of sad. They're like, yeah, we're at the end of our season. We're sad. Except that beautiful one right there. You can't see that. Okay. While I'm here, squash, of course, are doing magnificently. Yellow zucchini squash. If you want an amazing producing squash, look at that big squash on there. Plant yellow zucchini. Tastes just like green zucchini. The other one is this Zephyr squash with the green tip on it. These plants are also amazing producers. So if you're a huge squash fan, I would plant those Zephyr squash plants. Green zucchini is doing pretty well. Unfortunately, I only have one green zucchini plant here. These were all my leftover zucchini plants. I wasn't even going to put them here. Yeah, he's starting to put a few more flowers on, but I think he's almost done. Biggest zucchini plants I've ever seen. All right, so this is the watermelon that exploded, cracked open. So I put it outside the fence last night because we get cows and deer and everything. And it looks like they had a good little snack last night. Corn. This corn has been doing pretty well. It's these, you can see these first two rows here are starting to turn brown. So I don't have to buy corn stalks this year. And I think we're now into row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These were all succession planted. And we've been getting some nice cobs. Some of them form all the way to the top. Some of them have not been. So I'm very happy with this corn, even though we've been getting like half-formed ears. I'm still very happy with this corn. And then the ones, these are ones, the last, it's either 2 or 3 rows. 3 rows, I think, were planted from seed on June 10th. And, you know, we've got ears this size, little. And we've got some ears like this one. That are pretty good. Oops. Here, like this one. That one's pretty good, getting there. So we're probably a week from starting to pick the ones that were planted from seed. Not too bad. Potatoes. You can't hardly see the plants in here anymore. So I have to dig up the rest of these potatoes. I think we dug up like, you know, these here, there. And we have slug issues. So I don't know that I'm going to plant potatoes in the ground because I don't need that many potatoes. Although I would have liked to can potatoes. So I either have to do some research on slug control or put the potatoes in pots like I do at home. And that might be what I do up here because I usually get pretty good yield with the potatoes in pots. So we'll see what happens next year. So that's the tour on what's going on. Now, I'll do in a separate video, I'll do the harvest that I get from this and show you that video. But that's going to be it for this video. So until next time, everybody, happy gardening. Bye-bye.